Myth number 7 is that probate investing is so hard, there's no way I could ever learn the process. There's no way I can learn all of this stuff. So I want to break it down for you. And full disclosure here, there's a lot more goes on behind the scenes with attorneys and courts and all of that. But this is what you need to know. You need to know the basic steps in the process, and you need to know exactly when you can buy the house. Step 1 is obviously someone passes away. The next thing that happens, and this may be a few weeks, it may be a few months, it may be a year after the person has passed away. They just put off opening the estate. But that is the next thing that has to happen. So once the estate is open, we talked a little bit about the court's going to do these things. They're going to validate a will, or they're going to appoint a personal representative, a PR, as they're called. Once that is done, then the next thing is the assets are sold. Now, what that means is that things that are not directly inherited, like I'm leaving this necklace to my daughter, that would be something that the daughter would just get. But things like real property, homes and businesses, boat slips, anything that's real property, certainly, these things are going to be converted to cash. And this is the way it works by law. And the reason is because the next step is the creditors get paid. So who are the creditors? Well, they're anybody that is owed money. If there were any mortgages, home equity lines of credit, or any things like that attached to the property, those are going to be really up at the top of the list. So they're going to pay those off. Let's assume that the deceased had a car payment or credit card bills. So all of their bills get paid out of the estate. So the creditors get paid. And that would also include things like hospital expenses, nursing home expenses, and legal fees, and certainly funeral expenses. So we've gotten to this point. They've sold any property in the estate, so they have cash in the bank, and that's part of what the personal representative does. Legally, they're responsible for seeing that this distribution, goes the way it's supposed to go, and that the money is handled in the way that is set out by the laws of the state. So it's a big responsibility. So once the creditors have been paid, then and only then do the heirs get what they've inherited. So you can look back at the process. All of these things have to happen. The estate has to be open. The assets need to be converted to cash. The creditors need to be paid. And the heirs are way down here on the bottom of the list. So don't you see how they would be motivated to move this process along? They can be very motivated because they don't get what they're inheriting until you get to this stage in the process. Now, once all of this has happened, then the estate is closed. Other things happen. A federal tax return is filed on behalf of the estate, things like that. Those are not things you have to be concerned with. You need to understand that these people must sell the house, okay? It's not an option. If it's in the estate, they must sell the house.